Hello.
Hi.
Hi, girl. How's it going?
It's great.
I'm so happy you're here to join me today for my little YouTube fam. This is Aubrey, one of my dear, dear friends and transformational coaches who I'm lucky enough to have in my life as both friend and very frequently transformational coach.
Yes. Same to you. It's the lifeline.
Yes, so true. So today we are talking about a topic that is near and dear to both of our hearts. We're talking about love.
Girl, I knew when I reached out to you about this topic, I was like, I love Valentine's Day, and I have a really big feeling you love it too.
Correct. So much. It's funny, you and I were chatting earlier about holidays and Valentine's Day specifically. For me, I think as these holidays pop up, there's just so much of the nostalgia to it. Like what Valentine's Day looked like when we were little and when we put candies in our friends' bags, and it had kind of a feeling of innocence and camaraderie and community about it, which is interesting to now, being in our 30s, and what does Valentine's Day mean to individuals, to couples, to folks who are single. I like that face. What does Valentine's Day mean to you?
I literally bought myself flowers yesterday.
Yes.
And FaceTime my niece who was 4. And she was like, can you show me some cool stuff? And so I was like, okay, here are these flowers. She's like, oh my God, who bought those for you? I said, me. I gave her a little you can buy yourself some flowers, teach them young. That's okay.
Yes. Let those ladies know.
Yes.
Which brings up such a cool thing, because that's basically looking at self-love. Mm-hmm. What's that mean to you? What's the showing yourself?
I mean, I feel like that's been a roller coaster ride for me. I've been known to be really good at just grinding it out and being really hard on myself and having a lot of self-doubt inside, where on the outside people would not even think twice about me being confident and all that. And throughout the last 6 or 7 months, been really focusing on my well-being and what it means to love myself, because I never questioned that. And I am single, and I'm starting to get in a space where I do want a romantic relationship. But how can I have a romantic relationship when I'm not even really totally evolved with my own self-love?
Just the age-old question, when are we ready? How do we know? And if we're not clear on our own sense of self, our happiness, what drives us, motivates us, then do we want to bring someone into that?
Yeah.
And I think that process that you've been on has been a really cool exploratory journey of what's that look like for you to be all in on Aubrey, and then lucky dude who gets to meet this girl.
Hello, man.
I was good at YouTube editing. I would put a button with your phone number.
We could probably figure it out.
We'll probably find out.
Yeah, even I mean, it self-love, I think, generates to a larger radius of things, of focusing on your well-being, just physical well-being, feeding your body with the nutrients that it needs, telling yourself I love you. That's crazy. I never really thought to outwardly do that. And more recently it's been living in my sexiness. Yeah. And we've talked about hummingbird makeup and my relationships, even makeup and things like that. And I gotta tell you, it has just been, it feels good. I wake up, I work out at 5:30 in the morning. I shower. Yeah, it is crazy. I missed it today. Sorry, Sarah Noble. But yeah, I feel good. And half the time I just stay in my apartment, like all like done up, but I don't even care because it just makes me feel so good.
It's for
Like,
you. Yes, that's what I'm hearing in that is it's you don't need another person, one, to feel love, and two, we don't need another person to feel sexy, to feel good in our skin, and to explore what that looks like. We
mhm.
get so fixed in how things are supposed to be. And it's funny, we're talking about this a few days before Valentine's Day, which I think for so many people, especially in a pre-COVID world, it's like a holiday that could be stressful. How are you supposed to do it? Is the guy in charge? Is the girl in charge? How does that go if you're in a same-sex marriage or relationship? And what's it look like if you're not in a relationship at all? What about
Yeah.
if you don't want to be? And so those parameters that we get accustomed to of this is how something's supposed to look, supposed to go, supposed to feel, into what you're saying, like, what if you throw a bunch of that out, buy yourself the flowers, tell yourself you love you, and take a look at some of the other places you want to explore, dig in deeper.
Yeah. I think that that makes me think of like we say that we want certain things, but we're not really willing to
Yeah.
transition or change the things so that we can have those things. Half the time they're already there for us to grab a hold of.
Yeah.
And we're more accustomed to just accepting, I want it, but I'm not going to have it. It's like a scarcity mentality that's easy to lean on and just continue to believe.
Yeah. It's cool when you think about that from the perspective of love. That makes me think about like women I've met who had a child and they were like, wow, my whole capacity to love and my whole understanding of love just changed. And then they'll say, I can't imagine ever loving something so much. And then some people have a second child. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, it wasn't like that pie just got divided in half, one child and the other. It just grows. And so what you're saying about scarcity makes me think about how if we didn't relate to love as limited or as needing to be or look a certain way, but as infinite and of our own making and filled with possibility and size and scope and scale, how incredible might that feel to like walk through the world that way?
Yeah. I mean, I talking about like possibility, it just seems so endless. It's like a tunnel of rainbows that just like
Which obviously
there.
I want.
What'd you say?
But obviously I'm into that.
Yeah, like throw in some like sparkles and some
Unicorn.
candy and like a good bottle of champagne, like whatever it is. I am going down that tunnel and I am not stopping.
Yep. I'm all in for that. And that also makes me think, even the way you're describing it with like going through a tunnel, that's basically describing it as enjoying the journey.
Mm,
It's not just about, okay, so when we think about possibility, what's the destination? I want to get married, when's the wedding, and then everything's all figured out. It's what's the whole journey of that life in your relationship to love, the people in your life. And by the way, love is totally unrelated to people. It's just something that can be there for you in the way you're experiencing the world, the places you go, what you
yeah.
see, what you're part of.
What I'm curious from your perspective, like where you're at in your journey of love and like maybe going down the tunnel, like what's ahead in
Yeah.
that journey.
Yeah. I know that we kind of have touched on it just in chats we've had, but one of the things I come back to very, very frequently is that love is the driving force behind a ton of what I do in life. And to that end, it feels like a purpose for me in the world and in my relationships. But something that comes up, especially as you do this kind of work and you have these really open conversations about love, sex, relationships, what you want, is also this feeling that sometimes it can be tiring. And what do you do when the thing that feels like your purpose can also feel taxing? And that's, I would say, the place I've been on my journey is sort of exploring love as multifaceted, as not always needing to be generated from me, not something I have to like put on like a mask or an outfit, but that it can still be there, and I can still have love, give love, share love without needing to show up from like an energetic place to give it to everybody around me or to give it to the people I love. And it's particularly interesting to explore when we are in a global pandemic, when we're home a lot, when I'm planning a wedding, and all those things feel like they're very much at least supposed to be a celebration of love. And what's been interesting for me is the feelings at moments of, sure, the end of that, the marrying the man I love sounds fantastic, but the process, the day to day, can often be more nuanced than that. And so I would say, like, I'm in it. I'm on the journey of figuring out how can I be driven by that sense of purpose to love and be loved, if I'm forgetting occasionally to point it inward. It's all about delivering it outside of myself.
Yeah. It sounds like exhausting, you know, to no, not the whole thing of what you said, but just, you know, where maybe you were coming from around love, to continuously generate it. Like, that's exhausting, because love is a lot. Like, as humans, we all want, I feel, in my opinion, that's like the main thing that we all need and want.
Yep.
Don't often say that.
Yep.
But yeah, and to just already be a person whose life's purpose is love, that's like already present. And then to feel like you need to constantly generate it can just be exhausting. Like, yeah. So that reminds me of like what I was saying of like, it's already there. Just go out and like embrace it, or like access it, and just trust that it already exists and people see you like that, and you have enough to give too. I don't know if that's like was part of it, but I could see with, you know, some people and how they relate to love, like what you were saying before, there's plenty to give in multiple like paradigms of that version of it too.
Totally. And being okay with yourself on the journey, in the process of it. And to what you're saying now, it makes me think that there is this abundance of love, but that doesn't mean that there's not the possibility to learn and to shift in your relationship to it and what it means to you, or how you bring it into the world. And that piece really resonates. Like, it shouldn't be exhausting. It should just be real and easy and organic and from within. At least that's how I'd like to relate to giving and receiving love. That it's not transactional. It should just be a free flow. You don't need to give it and then somebody has to match you back.
This is like blowing my mind right now for like mothers or parents who have kids who love them so much, because it's that unconditional love. They're not really getting it back. It's like experiencing exactly what you said without needing to get it back. And I mean, I don't have kids, but I can imagine that maybe that's why it is so powerful, because you just trust it is there. Like, you created this thing, first of all, you grew it in your stomach, or if you didn't, you know, have a baby, you adopted a child, or, you know, are fostering or whatever. Like, you can still love something so pure and joyful and like see it from that lens, which that's how I relate to kids. Like, I just think they're so pure and joyful and like so much fun, that if we showed up to love, like in an adult relationship or with whoever, whatever it is, from that place, like I can only imagine what that would make available or how that would make you feel.
Yeah, even just the way you're describing it, I'm like, oh, it just sounds like fun and play and levity and kind. Kind to self, kind to others. And when you think about it from that perspective, like parents with their children, or any, just like anybody I know with a dog, like that is the purest relationship in the world. That love is so deep, and nobody's expecting that dog to cook them dinner. and nobody's expecting that dog to go beyond its capacities of opposable thumbs or not.
Yeah.
And it still is such a deeply love and joy filled relationship. And I think you're spot on. If we could bring that in adult relationships, in our relationships to ourselves, probably a whole lot less judgment, a whole lot more forgiveness, and hopefully a whole lot more play and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why I'm so grateful to have people like you, honestly, in my life who bring that awareness and bring those reminders of just another way to relate to things. It doesn't all have to be the giant heart-shaped cookie and the dinner being cooked for you. It can be something totally different for everyone.
Well, a giant heart-shaped cookie and a great dinner and dogs that do cook you dinner and wash your dishes and whatever. I would be down for that. So if anyone knows of a dog or whatever, like, let me know.
Click the button here to text Aubrey.
I'm here.
Really hope I can set that up. Thank you so much for taking the time today and every day for just being in my life and having these sorts of conversations with such like beauty, authenticity, joy. For anybody watching who is interested in working with a transformational coach on literally any topic, if you don't want to work with me, please hit up Aubrey. And definitely for our folks who are really looking to level up or in interesting arts-oriented careers, she has a wealth of knowledge and just what it takes to kind of find yourself in those spaces and not get lost in it, which I think all of us could use a little bit more of.
100%. Even me.
Love you. Speaking of love.
Yes, I love you too. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, what a cool
Valentine's Day. Enjoy your flowers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Talk soon.
Okay, bye.